from the Youth Strand, and I would also like to acknowledge my team, Mr. Charlie J. Perezores and Mr. Patrick Avanzada. I am here to present our study entitled Stressors and Coping Mechanisms of Senior High School Students Towards Blended Learning Approach. So to start, we all know that the COVID-19 pandemic impacted a lot of lives and also caused havoc around the globe. It also affected the students' way of learning and the educational sectors worldwide. Blended learning rose as one of the learning methods utilized by educational institutions during this time of the pandemic. And as stated by Martin, Pauly, and Rees of year 2020, blended learning can be defined as an educational approach that combines synchronous learning, where students can learn digitally at the same time, and asynchronous learning, where students can learn at their own pace through reading guides and modules. So the significant shift from the traditional face-to-face to the virtual blended learning system has caused many students to encounter difficulties and question how they will be able to meet the standards required to excel in their respective classes. In a study conducted by the University of New South Wales, Sydney, year 2020 in Australia, multiple learning institutions implemented blended learning because it is said to be an engaging form of distance learning. However, they also found out that the need to adapt content for blended learning made students face numerous challenges that are stressful to them, such as decreased motivation, strained relationships with instructors and classmates, poor internet connection, defective devices, and lack of skills in digital literacy. This is also further supported by Mendoza year 2021, who stated that in the Philippines, when blended learning first started, students together with their parents noticed errors in their learning guides, which pushed them to get stressed out thinking about the quality of education that they are receiving. In addition, they also countered problems like poor internet connection and lack of time management. Moreover, in accordance to LEMIC year 2020, as educational institutions in Davao City implemented blended learning, they already had a hard time and encountered situations that caused them stress, such as difficulties in understanding the modules, lack of time management, and not being able to attend online discussions due to poor internet connections. The disparities in the previous studies and the fact that there are only a few studies focused on this topic in the local setting triggered the researchers' desires to conduct it. To provide better understanding, the researchers aim to discuss this topic and use the approach directly from the students involved. Specifically, this study is aimed at answering the following questions. First, what are the causes of stress faced by senior high school students who undergo blended learning? And second, what are the coping mechanisms of senior high school students who encounter usual stress and difficulties in the blended learning approach? The researchers use a qualitative method to investigate the topic, specifically a phenomenological approach. It is uniquely designed to help researchers and readers to learn from the experiences of others and explore the human complexity from their lived experiences within the world. And in order to get the appropriate data needed for the study, the researchers conducted a virtual interview with each question carefully and thoroughly checked and validated by experts. When the interview was finished, all responses were transcribed and translated into the English language and was further analyzed by a system or a method known as thematic analysis. And the data analysis found that the stressors of students in the blended learning approach can be categorized into 5 major themes, namely academic requirements, teacher factor, time pressure, communication crunch, and behavioral issues. So the majority of the participants that we interviewed stated that there are various academic requirements and time pressure issues that they needed to contend with, because previously in the face-to-face setting, they were able to find a separation of environment which helped them to manage their stressors better. Also, according to the participants, one of the key factors that contributes to the stress that they felt was the deadlines and time constraints imposed by their teachers. Further, their laziness and procrastination also added to the stress that they are feeling and their behavioral issues. Another apparent theme was communication crunch, which pertains to the fact that even though students have the means of subsistence as well as the gadgets and the internet connections, they are still experiencing stressors and difficulties due to unexpected disruptions, which cause them to be late and absent during their online classes. On the other hand, students' coping mechanisms featured 6 primary themes, namely remembering their family's effort and support, and envisaging their dreams and goals. So the first apparent theme, self-destruction and attention diversion, pertains to the ways on how the students have entertained themselves in order to clear their minds by engaging in activities that they found interesting. The next apparent theme is maintaining social connections, which was found as one of the vital things that helps in the development and stress management of students, specifically teenagers and young adults during this time of the pandemic. Resting is also another apparent theme which was found because the participants share that they take RS often in order to clear their minds and remove the stress that they felt. The next apparent theme is active coping and self-regulation, which revolves around the actions that the students took to cope and negate their stresses directly. And this also relates to how they actively confront, manage, and address their school-related activities and tasks. A motivation for students under the blended learning approach was remembering their family's effort and support. So the participants shared that their families are their source of strength to keep going on and to continue their studies, especially because they wanted to make them proud. And lastly, no matter how stressful and frustrating were the students' experiences, another thing that would motivate them to strive hard in their studies is emphasizing their dreams and goals, which serve as their drive to succeed. So the findings suggest that students have experienced a variety of stressors, which also use a variety of coping techniques in order to succeed in their quest during the blended learning approach. The result of this study indicates contextual pieces of evidence on the various issues that students in a developing country are facing in the midst of the current pandemic. It is recommended that these issues should be considered as inputs for further development on the current educational process. To be more specific, government and other authorities should advocate for the advancement of technology and expansion of internet availability, especially in distant areas around the country. In addition, schools and administrators should take steps to improve their ability to support students in all quests of their educational lives. However, the researchers also acknowledges the fact that the findings of this study is constrained by they were solely based on the perceptions of senior high school students in Holy Cross College of Calinan conducted at the time when the pandemic is still going on or is still in full swing. And the study also recognizes its limitations due to the fact that it was conducted in a limited sample size using a single approach. As a result, larger surveys should be done in the future in order to better understand the underlying issues that senior high school students face at different levels. Our dear reactors, researchers are now ready for your comments and suggestions. Once again, a class